It was early spring. It was a day of rest. I woke up late. When I stepped into the yard, the weather seemed unsettled. After washing up, I looked around and noticed that the rain gutter on the edge of the tin roof was bent to one side. It must have been weighed down by the heavy snow of winter. A strong wind could easily bring it down. I picked up the ladder lying on the walkway and carried it to the roof, exhausting myself in the process. It had absorbed moisture and become as heavy as a rock. As soon as I set my foot on the ladder, my mother came down from the veranda. "What are you doing?" she asked, staring into my eyes. "Just a moment," I replied carelessly, waving my hand. "The gutter is bent. Don't rush, my child. Have your tea first. I'll be down soon." Saying this, I climbed the ladder. As soon as I got onto the roof, I heard my mother's anxious voice from below. "Be careful. Don't go too close to the edge." "Why don't you just go inside?" I said, annoyed. Stepping carefully over the tin roof, I reached the bent gutter. I struggled with it, but the stubborn thing wouldn't budge. Was it rusted? Had the paint stuck to it? To make matters worse, rain began to drizzle. At first, just a few drops, then suddenly a downpour. Sitting on the edge of the roof, I grabbed the gutter with both hands and tried to push it. It wouldn't move an inch. Once again, my mother's voice called from below. "Look at me, son." I walked back to the ladder. "What is it?" "Here, my dear, put this on." I looked down. My mother was gripping the ladder tightly with one hand, holding a coat in the other. Her thin scarf and vest were already soaked through. My frustration grew. I said, "I'll come down soon. Am I a child? You'll catch a cold. Oh, come on, just go inside. I'll be down in a minute." Saying this, I returned to the gutter and began punching it in frustration. Then suddenly, another voice from below. "Dad, Daddy." "What?" I snapped, growing more irritated. "My kite is torn." I looked down. My 7-year-old son stood in the middle of the yard. At his feet lay his torn kite, its frame poking out like broken ribs, soaked in mud. He was wearing only a thin shirt. His head was bare. He stood there, shivering in the rain. "Get inside, Farah," I shouted. "Go inside before you catch a cold." But he wouldn't listen. He kept looking back and forth between his kite and me. My heart pounded. I slipped and slid as I rushed toward the ladder. Descending 3 or 4 steps, I saw that my mother was still holding on to the bottom of the ladder. Her scarf was drenched, clinging to her hair. One hand on the ladder, the other still holding the coat.